I'm hiring out 5-year-olds.
This is unbelievable what's going on in the States, eh?
You talking about the storm or the politics?
Close call.
Whatever you want to talk about, you know. But my son lives in Bradenton, and he pulled out on Monday night, and he doesn't know what he's going to go home to.
I know he's in the path too.
Yeah, well, he's coming to Toronto, so at least he won't get a hurricane up here.
No.
The absurd thing is that they do in politics of the weather.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I heard on the news say some woman thought it was a conspiracy by the government for this hurricane to come through.
Yeah, it's that senator in Pennsylvania. What's her name? Green.
It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is
Marjorie
the Jewish space lasers too. She's wackadoodle. But she gets elected. Don't ask me how. I'm thinking like the Democrats control the weather. Okay, you got to get out of here. You're nuts.
No.
How can you?
They choose her. They elect her to be. I don't know. What is it?
Clown? I don't know.
Crazy.
So I'm showing 7:01. Do you think we should get started?
Sure.
You and Lars and me. Well, we're going to open the meeting. Welcome. I'm Lisa Whitwell. For those of you who may not know me, I am the pod chair of Pod 2, and we're running the show tonight. This is a bit of an experiment, but I'm very excited to see the turnout. So it's wonderful to see you all. I'm doing the reflection tonight, and it's kind of a sharing one. I'm going to talk a bit about anxiety. And while it is normal to experience worry or apprehension in the response to significant change or unknown futures, some of us, I'm one of them, take anxiety to the next level, and it becomes uncontrollable and sometimes paralyzing. Given that we're discussing the possibilities of change and an unknown path forward, I thought I'd share some of the tips that I use to help when things are particularly anxiety provoking. So I have 3 things to share with you tonight. The first, and probably the quickest, when you're feeling anxious, take deep breaths. Particularly the effort of exhaling with energy, with enthusiasm, helps to physically release tension in your body. I don't know about you, but I try. If I sigh, my chest relaxes. The second thing that I try to do, and don't always remember, is to practice kindness. Kindness to myself, kindness to the people around me. To recognize that we can only do what we can do. And we hope that that will be sufficient. And to be kind to ourselves when we don't live up to our own expectations. The last thing that I want to share with you is practicing gratitude. And I'm not talking necessarily about big gratitude, that we have a roof over our heads, that we live in a country that allows for democratic elections, that we have enough food to eat. But when you're feeling anxious, I think it's important to remember the little tiny glimmers of happiness. The way that the first sip of coffee in the morning tastes. The feel of sun on your face when you step outside the door. Patting my dogs. A gentle breeze. I think it's important to look for little things, little glimmers of happiness. That is going to add to our overall anxiety reduction. So I just wanted to share that with you because sometimes change can provoke anxiety. And with the in the theme of gratitude, I thought we could start, rather than do happy bucks at the end, we could start now and maybe share some of the things that we're happy for. I just want to let you know that I am not going to be recording your pledges. I would ask that if you decide to make a pledge for Happy Bucks, please either e-transfer the treasurer email, or the next time we meet in person to bring some cash. In the theme of we can only do what we can do, I can't manage this and keeping track of things. So I open the floor. Does anyone have anything they're happy about right now?
Yes, I
Mary,
do. This
your
little-
dog.
This little new addition, Bella. And
So cute.
yeah, we're very happy to have her. We adopted her recently, and she's 3 years old, and she is the sweetest. We're delighted.
She looks like she's
So-
got some poodle, maybe a bit of Maltese.
She's Havanese and Bichon. Yeah.
Nice. Lovely combination.
All of 12 pounds of her.
Lovely. Does anyone else? Tom.
I got $10. I turned 80 yesterday.
Oh, happy
Oh.
birthday.
Happy
How
birthday,
lucky?
Tom.
Well, how lucky can a person get? You know, and I figured I was going to die at 68 because my parents both died at 68. And I've had 12 unbelievable years. So how lucky can a guy get? So I have $10 for that.
Great.
Well, congratulations. Does anyone else have anything they're happy about today in particular?
Okay, I got another $5 for you, Lisa, for all the hassles to get those shirts paid and the trouble that the manufacturer caused, and you did it so well. I want to thank you very much.
No problem. It was, I don't know what happened to the first check, but I think the second check got delivered to the wrong business at the address or something. Anyway, they found their money eventually. And so we're not all off to debtor's prison. It's all good.
So thank you very, very, very much.
No problem, Tom. Is anyone else? Oh, Glenn, yes, you'll need to unmute.
I'll give 10 just because, we're willing to try something different tonight.
Excellent. And I like the spirit of optimism there. That's wonderful. Anyone else?
Yep.
Oh, Nilam?
Yeah, I'll put in $10. I just came back from Florida in between the two hurricanes. I'd gone down there to see my 102-year-old uncle. And he is such an inspiration at that age. He still chips in with all the household chores, does his exercise, and is all together. His memory is far better than mine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, if there's no other happy things.
Ron's got something.
Oh, Ron's got something. Sorry.
Yeah, it's worth $10 to be a member of such a wonderful group of people known as the Rotary Club of Toronto Eglinton. It's a privilege and a joy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. As one of the, dare I say, earliest members, it's wonderful to have you too. Okay, well, we can put a pin in that. We can certainly come back if you think of something later.
Stephen Bianco.
Oh, Stephen, sorry. I can only see so many people. Stephen, you're muted.
Unmute yourself, Stephen.
There we go.
$10. My wife is on the road to recovery, slowly but surely. And I'm looking forward to having a game of golf tomorrow with David and Bill Steele.
Lovely. Great news. Okay. I think just given that we have a lot to discuss this evening, I'm going to turn the floor over to Lars, who's going to be having, sorry, Jim, did you have something you needed to say?
Late happy bucks. Two of our daughters have birthdays, one this week, one next week, so we're getting together. for a
Lovely.
little celebration.
Very nice. Okay, so I didn't want to cut anybody off. I can only see 25 of you at a time on my iPad, so I have to kind of swing it up and down. I'm going to turn the floor over to Lars, who's going to talk to us a bit about the survey results and some of the issues that we want everyone to start thinking about for the future. So Lars, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lisa. And let's see if things work. Does this work?
Yes.
Mhm. So we should then just press one more. And this should then be even better. So yes, thank you, Lisa, for what you're doing and for jumping in and take over the leadership of Pod 2. And thank everyone who filled out this survey. And if it's okay with everyone, let's go through this fairly rapidly. It's based on the material that I have distributed, and then we can go back and discuss the various points. Otherwise there is a risk that we end up discussing maybe slide 3 and run out of time, because it is after all evening and some people have not had dinner yet. So anyway, we got 28 people who responded, and I think that's pretty good. That's more than 50%. So that is. And halfway through going through the material yesterday and today, I decided to call the presentation Make Rotary Relevant, and it will come back a little bit later in the presentation. So the initial question that we had was, how satisfied are you being a member of the Rotary Club of Toronto Eglinton? And Ron is not the only one. Basically, everyone answered that they were satisfied or very satisfied about being a member. Just a couple of people didn't really know. That is, in my experience, having done quite a few of these visioning sessions in the district, probably 100 clubs visits that we have done. Most people are very happy about their club, even though they sometimes complain. And there is also a risk that people maybe are a little bit dishonest on the positive side, because they don't want to hurt people, members, and so on and so forth. Deliberately, we didn't ask for members' names, because then you get even less honest answers, is my experience. So you see the green overall on these questions here, when it comes to how, club meetings and how we involve members and members care about each other and so on. It's positive. One which is quite natural, and I think we all know that we are not very a good reflection or mirror of the community, the diversity, both when it comes to age, gender, and race and ethnicity and so on and so forth, has much to that we should look at, really, because more could be done. But otherwise, as I say, overall, things are, I think, pretty good. The comments are pretty good. How do you rate the following aspects of the meetings? One thing, question is updates on Rotary International. And let me just see that what we have. Yeah, I'll come back. So we also asked both length of membership and whether people are working or not working or retired. And the material, each question can be broken down in those questions. That there are so many people who say that they somewhat disagree with the statement that we give Rotary International updates. It's the fact that almost all those answers are among newer members. So we are obviously doing a poor job there. They may not be aware of much of what happens about Rotary International. And it actually ties together with something that Ron and David and I talked about, Ron and I, last week, and that is information about Rotary activities, Rotary outside the club. Length of meetings, overall positive. Frequency, which we will come back to, is also overall pretty good, but or other people are positive too, but there are some people who disagree. Format is another one that, of course, that we know we need to address and have that. So what else? And these are location is another one where there is some of these questions are also in a way a little difficult to answer, because when it comes to format and location, of course, we have the various options of Zoom and in-person and hybrid. So one could say that those should maybe be broken down, and you will actually see at the end, based on the comments, what happens about the meetings. It's like a Rubik cube. We have that. I think that is more or less everything on that. Here you can see what just an example about aspects online, hybrid or in person on the format, and you see those working full time. Majority agree that they are good. Those who are part-time or studying or somewhere in between, and then we're back on when they retire. That's basically also that if most of the people are agree with the format and so on and so forth. Actually, I was a little surprised when I went through this that there aren't more difference between the various categories or the various groups. In a way, it can depend on the fact that we are talking about a fairly small number when we start breaking them down in the various groups. Here is what we have among the new members, the members who are members for less than 2 years, the group in the middle, 2 to 7 years, and the people who have been members for more than 7 years. And again, it's really not, it's a little bit more disagreement when it comes to the people who have been members for less than 7 years. But we are actually talking about, in this case, just one person. Service projects, the overall is that the number is just about right, more or less right. There is a tendency that some people feel that that we have too many, but also, like someone said, and it comes back at the end, it's not necessarily the number of projects, it's really the project and the impact that we should look upon. Again, quantity is not really what we need to have, it's quality. The individuals, the members who are administering and running the projects, can take credit. Basically, all of us think that you are doing a good job, or that we are doing a good job. So we do something right, what we do. Communication. Again, the overall verdict is that communication is pretty good in the club. There is the odd one who disagree, but as I say, it's overall update processes. I guess that means sort of technology in club administration, and but also it could be, you know, how we operate the club, run our meetings, and so on and so forth. Some people, a couple of comments were that it's the meetings are the same time after time after time, so there should be more variety, which is something that we may want to should look into. How is it to be a member in the club? Almost everyone feels welcome to the club and enjoy being there. We feel that we care about each other. Contribution to the club. Members feel that they do a good job, or that they contribute. Leadership opportunities, professional opportunities. Go back and see what it is. Sometimes they so we get the odd negative disagreement on certain of these things. That is, I feel comfortable to take on leadership roles. This is again just a split on for those working full-time, part-time, and retired. And again, it's really, I guess one could imagine that while these two are more or less the same, the fact here is that people are working and are concerned about the time. That seems to be the fact. Among new members, we see a little bit more difference between particularly for the young, the new members. One question that I think those of us who have been members for many years should ask ourselves is, do we really ask the new members? Do we encourage them to come up with suggestions to be champion for a project and so on and so forth? There is a tendency, I don't think we are the worst in this, but there is a tendency in the world that when new members come up with projects and ideas, they say, oh, we tried that 5 years ago and it didn't work. And it may be true that it didn't work 5 years ago to begin with, but doesn't mean that it wouldn't work today. And again, what is important in all projects is champion for it. And I think Tom has said that many times, so he's right. So this is kind of an interesting thing, which I think needs to be evaluated when we go forward. we are proud to be members of the Toronto Eglinton Rotary Club, but it's sort of a little bit here and there when it comes to invite friends and family to events and prospective members. And we are also, which is another thing that I think we have not necessarily been very good at lately, even though I know that David and others say, and that is to attend other club meetings, makeups. Mary and I have a dog too that is fantastic, and you may hear her in the background. But both when it comes to district events and makeups, which has nothing to do with cosmetics or anything like that. It's what we call when we go to another Rotary Club, and it was basically a requirement in the old days that if you couldn't go to your own club, you had 2 weeks on both sides that you could go to another club and get a document, and you presented that to the secretary, and that way you fulfilled your obligations to Rotary. But as I say, this is something I think is interesting to evaluate and say, well, if we are so proud, how come that we don't invite more people to our events?
Lars,
yeah.
Before you go, was there something wrong with that previous slide? If you can go back to it. No, the previous slide. That one. On the right-hand side, I attend meetings and events with other clubs. It shows 1 as the number, but when I look at the height of the vertical, it's much more than 1. It's almost 6.
Yeah, it is. It's the person who has put in the numbers, who just did that deliberately to make sure that people had not fallen asleep. And it is actually a 7 that happens to look like a 1.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So it's there is a lot of experiment because the slides per se came out of the program, but in order to summarize and whatever, I put up those numbers as this afternoon, and I'm going to change it because I'm happy to send this out afterwards.
Yeah, and the number 7 there balances with the total number answered, 28.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's good because I just looked at the list here. It's so my apologies, but if that is the only thing, it reminds me of when I started at the university and we put together the course calendar for the first time.
Yeah.
And all the professors afterwards proudly presented it to them all, and they started to go through and say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, and this is wrong. And my boss finally had it, and he said, yes, there are a lot of mistakes here, but goddamn, there are more that is correct than is wrong. So
yeah, I just wanted to let you know I haven't fallen asleep.
No. It's good. Thanks, Ron. That's good. So let's see here. So we get here I just broken down the our show. If we look at the in this case the membership age, the years the respondents have been members, and the same thing is here with full-time, part-time, retired. So regardless, the situation is the same. members are proud of being members of the club, but I think we could do a better job inviting people, friends and people. Excuse me. Club dues, surprising. Most people, or the absolute majority, feels that it's about right. Food, I think, reflects a little bit whether people attend in person or not. Because if they have included food at the Zoom meeting at home or wherever they have that, it should probably be higher. Club fees. Outside dues, and what can that be? Well, it can be, of course, participating in events. It can be, there is, I think, what we are after is, which is important when we talk to potential members, and that is the expectations, because we know that there are expectations of contributing financially, whether it's happy bucks or donations to projects or donations to Rotary Foundation. Actually, I'm greetings from Dawn. She was at the foundation walk together with her dog, and there were lots of dogs there. We talked about forming a club for dogs. And actually a lot of children too, which was interesting, and maybe that should be for a club for children too. And donations and the Rotary Foundation. Overall, members feel that this is pretty much okay. So how many people or what groups do they belong to? So of the 28, we had 6 who are, if we call new members, who've been members for less than 2 years of our club. The members may, of course, can have been Rotarians otherwise. 10 in that middle section, 2 to 7 years, and 12 more than 7 years. And finally, when we look at working, and this is nothing new to anybody, we have 7 people who, of the 28, who claim that they are working full time. We have 4 part-time study, and we have 17 of the respondents who are retired. We have, as I said, no idea who the 28 individuals are, because we can't go back to find out. And chances are that, and we have that information, of course, that even a larger percentage than what this is about 60%, 65% of the respondents are retired. My guess is that for the club membership, it's even a little bit higher. So let me summarize, and this is not complete, and it of course is probably a little bit biased, because there are a lot of if you have studied the comments, I'm sure that you have found a lot of interesting things, and your thinking cap has started working. So, I mean, overall, there's no doubt people are happy. They are proud to be a member of the club. What came through to me was that there is a strong interest in putting more emphasis on projects in the local community. to make the club more visible in the community. And projects, as we already mentioned, should have an impact. The number of projects is not the important factor, the impact, and also to follow through and evaluate projects and maybe see what happened with what we are doing. Someone wrote that he or she perceived that Rotary is more a follower than a leader today, and suggested that we should find issues that are of importance to the community and also involve the community. And this may result in new members. And I think that is very true. And that's what I tried to summarize. Is just said to myself, well, make Rotary relevant. And I think it's a good catch to maybe work, continue to develop a strategy around this, to use that, make Rotary, or make the Rotary Club relevant. And it can be both for the community, but it can be for the club itself and for the individual members. A few comments are about involving new members, or the fact that new members don't necessarily get involved or assume leadership roles and so on and so forth. But as I said, maybe we don't ask new members to come up with ideas. What do we ask them? What their passion is, and so on and so forth. I don't know if Toronto Club does that anymore, but they used that to do a yearly event that was hilarious. They let the new members, and of course this is when they had a little bit more members than they have now, so they had quite a few new members. They let them basically make a spectacle or a comedy out of a road of a traditional meeting, and it, as I said, it was hilarious how they had picked it up and what they did with the meeting. This is a succession plan. We have talked about that, but that came up in a few comments. Someone came with the statement, or the is the club nervous to change? And maybe we should ask ourselves that. Are we nervous to change? Change will always cause a little bit of upheaval, but maybe we should realize that, yeah, change will be change, and maybe also realize that the club can't be everything for everybody. And finally then, the meeting time and format and venue need to be addressed, and I tried to see how to best present this, in what kind of 3D dimension or whatever, because some people suggest that it should be meetings every week. Others suggest we should have bi-weekly meetings. Some people prefer Zoom, others in person only, and then again, hybrid or not hybrid. In person, where should it be? Time for the meeting, lunch, evening, dinner, reception. Basically just have sort of some snacks, or someone said that even food isn't important at all. There are suggestions that the speakers there should only be speakers when it is an in-person meeting. And also, which I guess isn't necessarily something new, or that is for every form of meeting we have, I guess, but topic for speakers and the meetings. And I think one also needs to look at this from a generational lens as well. There are difference between generations, and if we want to have 30-year-olds, would they feel welcome to the club? So with that, I'll stop for now, and I'm sure that there are comments both to this, but also the other findings and interpretations from what you have drawn from the survey.
Thank you so much, Lars. Thank you for actually a number of things. First, for just stepping up to help with the survey, and then taking the time to collate it, to put all the information together, and then make the presentation. So thank you so much. And thank you for stepping up to be our president figurehead for the rest of this year. It's wonderful to have your insight and your ideas. So I'm going to open the floor up now. You need to sort of be patient with me, because as I said, I can only see 25 of you at a time. So if somebody wants to say something and I'm not seeing you, then perhaps David or Lars, you could acknowledge who's here. Does anyone want? Walter Saka has something to say.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Okay, so as everyone knows, I've been the lead on the Out of the Cold program, and I've been notified by Christchurch Deer Park that, again, we're going on again with this this coming year. There are 4 teams involved, and we're going to be doing this Wednesday nights, right from early November right till the end of March, possibly the first week or 2 in April. So what that involves is there's a shift starting at 4:30, and typically Rotarians, the people that I've been bringing down, started at 6:30. 4:30 to 6:30, things are set up. There's a full kitchen set up. We serve anywhere from 100 to 125 meals, and at this point, they're in the gym. We've got sleeping bags, and they're sleeping about 45 overnight guests. So again, this is starting pretty much in exactly a month's time. Our first commitment as a club starts on November 12th, that Wednesday, that evening. And the last couple of years, I've had Lionel Lavoie, I've had Don Smith, Mike Moy, and Norma as part of one of my teams. I'd like to especially invite new members and people that have not done this before who would like to help. What I have to do is I have to bring 4 to 5 people together for each second Wednesday of the month, kind of thing. And what I'll be doing is I'll be, phoning people and finding out who can make it, who can't, because they depend on us for a lot of the work. Often Don and I used to check people in, and a few people were cleaning afterwards, and a few people were setting up the room. So there is quite a bit of work. It's very gratifying, very uplifting work. We have met street people, and we have become very good friends. We've even mentored them. We've even brought them to, job interviews and such, and they've moved on with their lives. So we've done many, many things. Can I start by asking a question? Who would like me to contact them and tell me more, especially of the newer members and such? Again, at this point, I've got Lionel, Don Smith, Mike Moy, and Norman Monroe. Those were people that I've had last year. Who would like to join me on Wednesday nights?
Walter,
Yes.
Walter, I think you take Lionel off.
Okay.
You will not have Lionel this year.
No. Okay. All right.
Walter, I have a question just
Sure.
relevant to getting volunteers. Is there any possible way that you can get our Wednesdays to be the first and the third Wednesday in a month rather than the second and the fourth? Because the problem here is that if we continue to have our second meeting of the month on a Wednesday evening and the fourth meeting of the month is Raw, then you're asking people to make a decision whether they get together with their fellow club members.
Okay, at this point, we're not the only organization involved. We have probably 20 to 30 volunteers, and it's not my call. I would probably suggest that we maybe change our schedule with Rotary. I think we're more flexible, I think, than the Out of the Cold is, because again, there's 30 odd people involved. There's the church, there's staff, there's all kinds of complications there. So traditionally we've been on a team with Arvo Alfred and his brother, what's his name? His brother Hans. And so we traditionally have been on team 2 and 4. So I don't think we can change that. That becomes logistically very difficult.
Sorry, hang on a second. Lars, we've had a request for you to stop screen sharing.
Okay.
Sorry, just so everybody can see each other.
Okay.
Sorry, and Maria has a question or a comment. You're muted.
Yes, I'm waiting for Lars to stop the screen sharing. And as a comment on this very good survey, I think it's wonderful that we're doing this. And now I'm maybe getting thrown out of the club. You can stop sharing the screen, Lars, if you want to.
I'm trying to do that.
You're trying to
stop there.
So I see a lot of similarities between Rotary Eglinton and the church, actually. Not that we are holy on neither of the places, but we are struggling with the exact same questions. How to engage more people, to get more volunteers, and to lower the age of it. How can we get younger people to get engaged in our club/church? And it is so wonderful because I hear the exact same arguments, the exact same views in Rotary. I was looking through the comments. Please, Lars sent it out yesterday. Look through the comments in this and see. I had this wonderful congregation where we had trouble, as we have in every congregation, of the cinnamon buns, typical Swedish cinnamon bun problem. We have those ladies that baking the cinnamon buns, and trust me, we eat a lot of cinnamon buns in the Church of Sweden. And they were complaining that nobody was helping them baking these cinnamon buns. And I got these 2 young ladies that were baking wonderful cinnamon buns. And my old lovely ladies, they were taking the cinnamon buns and like, yeah, but they were not completely okay. And you can think the feeling of these young ladies. They were coming and they were saying, yes, yeah, we can help. and they were coming with this effort and were met by this, do you think they beg one more time? No. And sorry if I hurt somebody's feelings here now. Sometimes Rotary Eglinton doing the exact same things. The new people, we are few, I'm one of them, I'm this dial because I have been a Rotary member since 2006, but I am new in Rotary Eglinton. Coming with new ideas and people saying, yes, that's okay. And then squeezing the cinnamon buns and saying, yeah, but. How much are we prepared to think outside the box? How much are you oldies, if I may call you so, prepared to let us new people in, and we will do things differently. We will do the cinnamon buns in another way. How much are you prepared to allow us to do that?
Very good point, Maria. Thank you for bringing that up. Nilam, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I had intended on adding on to Lars. Thank you, Lars, for doing that. And Maria, I guess you make a very good comment too. Lars, I think sometimes when we look at the survey questions, the richness lies in the qualitative comments. And I think the comments that came through, and so it probably cannot be looked at very quickly. I remember, when we did, David was part of the team 5 years ago. We spent a lot of time looking through the qualitative comments. And that's where, because, it's the scales will give you some information, but when you start parsing through specific suggestions, so I think there is still unmined richness in the answers. So some of those I would urge you to take a look at it. And what stands out in my mind from the survey 5 years ago, again, on this one, was that people did have very specific suggestions. I think we had a question about what would get you more engaged with the club. And there were some, I think 10 or 12 very specific suggestions, and which range, if a memory serves me right, from, well, we would like more hands-on projects. We would like good speakers, or I would like to have an open mic session once in a while. So here again, as we look at the survey, I don't think you should just, put it back on the shelf and look through some of the specific comments that were made. So I think we'll gain from that.
Thank you, Nilam. Do we have anyone else want to raise your hand and say something? Ray?
Yeah, following along with Neelan's train of thought, it seems to me that a lot of work has gone into the survey so far with Lars' involvement. And I wonder if it would be worthwhile prioritizing some of the subjects on the survey that we feel are worth pursuing, and then forming committees from our club, even on the basis of soliciting 3 or 4 people on each committee from the membership to pursue those topics that have been picked out as priorities to pursue, and actually working on them and reporting back to whoever they should report back to on their results of their studies.
Nan?
Yeah,
Sorry, and then Norma. Yes, sorry.
I agree with what Ray was saying, but I'm thinking also that those people that have been in Rotary for a long time have ways of doing things, not because they're being rigid, but because that's just the way things are done. And I'm thinking that based on what Maria said, maybe it would be a good idea to set up, I don't mean a committee, but a group of newer members that have been here for, say, under 2 years, and have them get together and discuss things and bring to the rest of us some ideas. Because when you're by yourself with an idea, it's pretty easy to be shot down. But if you've got a few of you discussing something and developing something in depth, then I think maybe you're more liable to be listened to. And I think if we want to change, we need to listen to the new members.
Sure.
Good point. Okay, Norma, you're muted.
I very much agree with Maria's point, and I have always said that I feel it's really important to engage new members, and that we don't do that well enough. I don't think it's important. I think the other thing is, in the past, certainly in Edmonton, I think we used to, when new members come in, I think they should be required to sit in on committees. Like, I would love to see some new members sitting in on the community service, the international, the foundation. Ron Wild sat in on the foundation a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, and commented that, you know, wow, he learned a lot, and it was very enlightening to him. And I think that I have always felt that I think what we did in Edmonton is new members, before they became members, had to sit, or maybe when they became members, had to sit on, were required to sit in on committee meetings so they could find out what was going on. And yeah, I'd love to see change. I'd love to see some help and support. Absolutely. I'm open to change. That's all.
Thank you, Norma.
I'd like to bring up a point that I think that we all need to address, and it's everyone's been kind of talking around it, but you know, and I'm partly to blame for this in regards to my leadership in the past couple of years, that I've made the leadership look like it's a really difficult job, and I think we're starting to prove that wrong in regards to how we run our meetings and what Lars been able to do. And I think you're right. We need to look at everything that we do as we do it now and see how we can change it. So I'm going to use Ismet as a perfect example. Yes, she was a Rotarian from a previous club in Turkey. Genizi brought her to our club, and she really spent a lot of time. And I've made it very clear to the board and to the membership committee that it's all about the quality of the member, not the quantity of members that we have at the club. And I really do agree that, you know, if we have a member that comes on board that doesn't want to go to a committee meeting, or doesn't want to be a part of the foundation, or doesn't want to be on the board, I think we need to readjust why we want them to join the club, because this is all about service above self. And I think Ismet is a perfect example where she has gone, and I told all the chairs of the committees to invite her to their next set of meetings, which I think they've done. And she has now grown attached to the international committee, thanks to Genizi. But she has shown, we took our time with Ismet, and it wasn't a very quick decision. She probably came to, and I could be wrong, probably 8 to 10 in-person meetings. She was at every single one of the Zoom meetings, and we took it very slowly. And I think that set her up for success, because I think we've done more harm to our newer members that have come on in the last year, who have felt that they really don't know much about the club. And I felt that way when I joined. I know that Don did, and I know that Tom did. And if you didn't take the initiative, you never got to find out what really happened. You know, I can speak for Glenn and for Genizi, but I think Glenn made a comment at one of our first board meetings. He said, well, I didn't know what you guys did at the board level, you know, and so it was something new to him, which is great exposure for leadership. And I think we do invite people to things. It's just those members that we've invited just choose not to come. So maybe they're not the right members, don't know, or maybe we're not doing it right. But I agree, I think we need to expose these new members to feel comfortable taking on roles that would help them in their Rotary journey. And those new ideas, and I agree, in the past, we have kind of poo-pooed some of these ideas because we've not done them in the past. And I can tell you, as being president that first year, my first go around, there were a lot of struggles to manage the traditional, I'm going to call them the traditional members and the new members in regards to what they wanted out of the club. And it is a very delicate balance, because you try and meet everyone's needs in the club, and you can't always do that. And this is a perfect example tonight. that we thought we might want to try an evening meeting, because the feedback from some of our newer members, and Lars showed it, there is a good percentage of newer members that can't always make it to meetings. Maria can't come to lunch meetings anymore because she's got conflicts. Mike is busy all the time because he's got work. There are people in our club that have real contributions to the club. They just can't make it to the meetings. And then they question, like, why am I a Rotarian? I don't feel like I'm part of the club. I go out and I help out and do stuff, but I don't feel like I'm getting what I should be getting out of the club. So this is a perfect example where we thought, let's try something new. But Lars can attest to it, and anyone else who's copied on his emails, there was feedback from some of our traditional members who felt if they don't like it the way it is, then they shouldn't be in our club. And I really don't agree with that. I think we should adapt, we should change to meet the needs of our community, not the needs of a few. But again, that's just my opinion. And I'd love to hear what other people have to say in regards to how much change do we really want to see in the club and to stay relevant. Because I really think, and I made the comment about Rotary's follower, and I think that's the detriment, because we have a one-year leadership at the highest level. And by the time they get something going, there's a new leader who wants something different as their priority. So we never react. And I made the comment about, why is the district not supportive of the clubs? I felt with Mike and myself in that whole transition and the whole COVID scenario, why they weren't helping the clubs adapt to this change that needed to happen. And I asked them that question when I was president, and they said, we just didn't know how to adapt to that. And so there was no one that took ownership over that from the district level to support the clubs. So I think as leaders, we really need to know what the members want. And I think the survey is a really great start. By no means is it the end. I think it's the starting point. And to everyone's thing, we need to figure out how we take this information, because I can tell you, when Neelam and I did the survey 5 years ago, it was very beneficial. Like everyone felt there was no communication within the club. We didn't know what was going on in the committees. And the fact that we do the weekly updates on a monthly basis for each member from each committee, that's something that's important. I feel we're making every effort to keep everyone informed. But those are the kind of things that we'll take from these surveys if we put the effort into it. So I think to Norma's point, to Nan's point, to Maria's point, to everyone's point that's spoken, we really need to figure out how we take this information and we move it forward. To Neelam's right. We need to figure this out. And if Ray feels that we need to take it and put in smaller groups, then let's do that. I think we need to take this information and go forward. Thanks, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. If I know I'm sort of, Tom, sorry, go ahead. I was going to make a point, but I can wait.
I consider myself a newbie, but I'm in the 2 to 7 range. You have to watch thinking that you're not doing a good job. It seems to be part of the psyche. No matter what you're doing, you don't think you're doing a good job. And yet, if you look at that survey, everybody was quite happy to be a Rotarian and thought we were doing a pretty good job. I agree that we shouldn't throw everything out, because there might be a baby in the bathtub. I know I have gotten so much out of Rotary, and it's only because I participated. So if people get involved, we have the venue, we have the money, we have the programs. People can get involved if they want. And you're right, David, maybe we just got to find a way of getting more people involved more often. But we've got a really damn good club.
Thank you, Tom. Nan?
Yeah, when we're talking about getting people more involved, I think when you're a new member, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think you're uncomfortable saying you'd like to go to a committee. I think they need to be invited. And David, you did a great job of that. You spoke to me directly about the environmental committee. I had lunch with Ismet, and she's now a member of our committee. But that's only because you introduced us and we had a chat. And I don't know that people are comfortable just saying, can I come to your meeting? I think the committee heads have to find out who the new people are and invite them.
And I think nothing against the previous membership chairs and such, but during my interviews with these individuals, before we actually bring them to the club, to the membership for approval, I do ask those questions, what their interests are. And then that's where I find out how I make the appropriate introductions, and that starts the ball rolling. So I think we are building on that process to make it more,
so
to
too.
make it easier for people to feel comfortable going to meetings. But again, it's when a membership chair asks the other chairs to go forth and say, you know, make sure you invite them to your next meeting, you have to do that, or else it doesn't complete the circle. So that's important too.
True.
I've got a question. So
Yes,
mentorship
Stephen?
program, is the mentorship program still going on? Because if it is, that's the job of the mentor, to get people to go to different committees, run interference forums if they want, and a lot of these problems could be cleared up with good mentors.
So yes, the mentorship program has started back up again. Every new member, except for probably Maria, by choice, correct? Scharfenberg, not Denniston, has been given a mentor. And I think, you know, Maria, yeah?
I wasn't asked the question.
I'm sure I asked you.
It's like, do you need to know anything more about Rotary? Hey, I've been here since 2006. So, okay, then you don't need to, then you don't need a mentor.
Okay, well.
So, for a mentor for just Rotary Eglinton, no, I haven't been asked. I've been asked for if I needed a mentor to know more about Rotary.
So that's where we failed you. Okay.
Yeah, and here once again, I'm coming back to my little bit of a plaquette I have here. Sometimes you have to think outside the box.
So true. But to answer Stephen's question, yes, the mentorship program is in. I reached out to current members and asked them if they'd like to be mentors. And I have a list of about 4 or 5 people that have not been mentors in the past. And they are now mentoring individuals, new members. So other than Maria, my apologies, everyone does have a mentor. And that is their role. And typically there is a standard operating procedure for what the mentor's responsibilities are. And most of the people I have asked to be mentors have been in the club long enough to know what their role is as a mentor, hopefully.
Thank you. Can I just take a straw poll of everyone who's online? How do we feel about the 7 p.m. meeting? Did this work for you? If you were generally satisfied with this timing, can you just put your hand up? Okay, so most people were basically happy with a 7 p.m. meeting. Okay, we wanted an experiment, and I would say that this has been fairly successful. And I would propose, as the chair of Pod 2, that we try this again in November, that the second again, and we can see. I mean, I'll have to check and see. Maria, sorry.
Yeah, I'm willing to join the Out from the Cold committee. And if that is then the 2nd of the month and the 4th of the month, then 2 times you cannot join when you do that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a conversation to get.
Lisa, one thing I would draw your attention to, the month of October has 5 Wednesdays in it, which means that the 30th would again be a 7 o'clock Zoom meeting if we wanted to do that.
Yes, and we do have a speaker for that week, I believe. So I have to check. We'll have to check and see if that works. I mean, obviously, this is I inherited a schedule, so we're sort of working through that. But I'll have to check and see that works. I just wanted to get people's feedback. But Marie, you've brought up a very good point. I have done some volunteering with the Out of the Cold in the past and enjoyed it, but it's not going to be feasible if I'm also the SSA on the Zoom call. So we're going to have to talk about that a bit. Does anyone?
Walter has a question.
Walter?
Wells.
Walter, where are you?
You have to unmute, Walter.
There we are. Unmute yourself, sir. Mr. Wells. Sweetie, you're still muted.
He knows, he's trying to figure it out.
Oh, okay. There we go.
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, your
Okay, well,
hand's
your
up.
hand's up.
I
So
must,
He probably was liking the 7 o'clock meeting.
and you're talking, but we can't hear you. Okay. Does anyone? Oh, he's
No.
back. Oh, now he's clapping.
yeah, no, I don't have a question. I'm sorry. I let the hand get up.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add to this discussion?
Well, maybe I can just make some final comments and I think it, and particularly glad to hear the involvement that members want to have, and I think Ray's idea about forming small groups about a few key things, and Neelam, you're right. The commons are gold mines. What we have discussed within the board is that we bring this up at the next board meeting and decide or discuss steps to go forward. But I would really suggest that we pick maybe 2, 3, 4 key things, and just an example could be more visibility in the local community, and then let 3, 4 members form a group and come up with suggestions how that could be, because that can be a lot of different things. And the same with some others. Key meeting times is probably one of them, and maybe the most difficult one. And the conversation here about Walter Sotka vis-a-vis the club is very unfortunate, but that's good is an example of what may happen, and how we solve that. We will have to find some kind of solution to that.
Okay.
I mean, some clubs actually run hands-on projects as one of the meetings of the month, and maybe we should look into it. Anyway, thank you everyone who
Can I just ask one more question? And now I forgot it. Oh, I'm getting to it. Oh, the question that came up, and Lars mentioned it in his presentation, that Ron and he and I had a conversation. And what is everyone's thought in regards to taking a list of topics that the members come up with and taking one of our meetings a month to make that an internal, similar to what we're doing here tonight, where we have a topic. So the foundation came up, or the Rotary International came up, and topics of interest to our members that they would like to have an internal discussion, because some clubs don't always have speakers at every single meeting. And I don't want to take that away from people, but is that something that people would be interested to if we reached out to the membership and said, because as membership chair, I'm responsible for the pods, and the pods are responsible for building out the meetings. So if that, I see some hands up that might be of some interest, maybe not every month, but once a quarter, we have an internal meeting only.
Yeah, David, this is a club assembly, so it is a great idea to make it one, all in a club without a speaker. It's a club assembly, and
Right.
it is in the Rotary, yes.
No, we're supposed to have one a quarter, a called assembly once a quarter, and typically they're in December. The next one's supposed to be in December, and that's usually the review of the year to date. But
No, this is the club assembly. What do you say? With no speaker, we
Right.
talk about all in ourselves. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a club assembly, not the first assembly, second assembly. That's something different.
Okay. So would you like to?
I
so
agree
think-
with it, because I find at the end of the year, everybody does a great summary of what they've done at the end of the year, and it's like, oh, really? Okay, wow, you know. But it's done, and I know for something as simple as the budget at the end of the year, Lisa does a great job of showing money, and I'm thinking, but we never hear about it again until the end of the next year. I don't think most people understand how much money we have. What do we do with it? I've now figured out there's so many frickin' different kinds of accounts out there. Blow you away, you know, and it's like, but these are things the average person just wouldn't know. So I could say at least once a quarter.
Okay, so the general thought is if we put it out to the membership and we said, give us a list of topics you'd like to discuss, we might discuss 2 topics in a meeting, who knows? But if we put that out there, people would be open to those types of internal meetings.
Great idea.
Yes.
Great idea, Dave.
Waterloo.
Can I just make a couple comments, even though I'm sort of moderating here? First of all, I apologize. I was not one of the respondents to the SurveyMonkey survey. Got away from me. But one of the things that I really enjoyed, one of the meetings that I really enjoyed was a presentation that somebody made, and I should remember who made it because it may have been Jim, it may have, I don't know, on a water project from like one of the international committee's projects, and just some pictures and some progress. And you talk about, the survey respondents talked about making Rotary relevant. When you look at clean washrooms in a third world country, and you see the impact that has on the community, or even the food banks. I'm hoping that we're going to get someone from the Allen Gardens Food Bank to come talk to us. We make a difference in those organizations. It may not be newspaper articles written about us and things like that, but we are making a difference. We are relevant. And I think it would be wonderful if we could have presentations. I know we give each chair a minute or 2 or 3 minutes at once a month to talk about what their committees are up to. But if we encourage people, if they have something they're particularly interested in sharing with the group, we have a meeting where they make a couple slideshows on the stuff that they're doing. I think one of the greatest strengths of Rotary is the fact that there are Rotarians all over the world. And by that, I mean, not only just internationally, but you go into a small town just outside of Toronto, and most little towns have proudly displayed a little Rotary plaque. I mean, Rotarians are all over the place, and we can get stuff done when we work together. The other thing I think we need to continue with, if we can, is the work that we do with our other local Rotary clubs, because again, we can get more done working together. So I think it's a wonderful idea for us to spend some time during the meetings themselves talking about what we're doing.
Can I add one thing? I agree with everything you said, Lisa, but let me add one thing. If you want to know the real relevance of Rotary, read the Rotary magazine every month.
I agree. There's lots of good stuff in there as well. Okay. How do we feel that we have covered this topic, that we have, I mean, this is obviously a preliminary discussion. This is not, we don't have any big answers. I think the next step, the takeaway, is that we will have a discussion about this at the board meeting, which will be on Zoom. And I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that anyone is welcome to join the board Zoom at any point. And in fact, unless you're really sick of hearing me, I believe that I am the guest chair for the board meeting this month. So by
You are
all
next
means,
week. Next Tuesday.
yes, next week. Not next month, but this month, I should say. So yeah, if you're not on the board and would like to join, or not join, but like to come and see what we're up to, please feel free. It's not secret.
Just reach out to me. I can send you the Zoom link.
Okay, so if we're happy with that, then we'll wrap up this discussion, and then I'm just going to turn the floor back over to Lars briefly to see if there's any general announcements that you need to make, things that are happening in district or internationally, or anything that we need to know about for this week.
No, I don't think.
Sorry,
that-
I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that is not that. But no, there is nothing that. So instead, I guess next week we will have actually for sure District Governor Virginia. She may leave early, but she will try to come, and Assistant Governor Matt will be there.
Well, and one way or another, we will have a cake because it's not a party without a cake.
Good.
Yeah. And don't forget the Rotary Conference is coming up on the 25th and 26th of October. Hopefully you'll be there as well. That's another way to open up Rotary to your eyes.
And as I mentioned last week, if you're planning to go to either district conference or the international conference, just rest up, be ready. These people are crazy partiers, and
Yes.
they stay up really late, or at least some of them. You don't have to, but it's amazing.
It's a fun time. I can tell you.
Yes, you'll
Lisa,
see
can I
it.
just add a quick question? It's to do with, I went into my Rotary and tried to donate to the Foundation Walk, and I couldn't find the Foundation Walk on there. Interesting, I had a conversation with Dawn, and Dawn said she had the same problem. I wanted to make sure that the donation is going to the walk. So do I just bring a check in and give it to you with Foundation Walk on it? I mean, I can go into Rotary, but if I go in, it just says the annual fund. So if there wasn't any place that I could say this was dedicated to the walk, that was my
Well,
point. Yes, Roland.
the money that comes in to the walk goes to the annual fund. So
I know that. I guess I just wanted the club recognized as so many members gave to the walk. I mean, I can do the
Well,
Rotary Fund.
yeah, I have told the club that the amount. If you go in through my Rotary, you will automatically get the recognition. For those who come with a check, we will have to put in that form, so each member gets the recognition. So
yeah, if you want,
I'm not looking for any recognition. I guess the only recognition I wanted was the club to be acknowledged as so many members in the club supported the walk. I thought that was important. If that's not important,
Let me answer quickly. If you send the money by e-transfer, you put down on the transfer what the money is for. If you send a check, you put down on the remarks what the money is for. And
who do you e-transfer the
foundation
money to?
keeps that separate.
Okay, so the foundation, it would go to the foundation. So the check would either be paid to the Rotary Toronto Eglinton Foundation, or if you want to do an e-transfer, it's the Rotary TE Foundation at gmail.com.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I gave mine online. I just gave it to the annual fund on Sunday. So I just assumed it's going to go to the pot. It doesn't really matter because I committed on your paper, Lars. So I guess I just figure it's all get recognized. I think the idea of the Foundation Walk is that it's to help the annual fund, and it's just a reason to get on the website or write a check. I don't think we really need to make sure that it's saying it's for the Foundation Walk. It's just that we as a club get recognized for our contribution towards the annual fund. That's all.
I put it into the annual fund on the My Rotary. I don't remember whether there was an opportunity to put
There
a
isn't.
comment in the bottom.
No,
So
there
I
isn't.
just dumped it in there. But I did get my receipt already. And one of the questions I had for myself was, if we're giving this to the American website, do we get a Canadian tax receipt? And the answer is yes. So it's an easy way to do it.
I haven't
Okay.
got my tax receipt yet. Wow, that was fast.
Oh, I did this a little while ago.
Oh, okay.
I cheated. I gave it earlier. I made the commitment
sorry,
after
but-
I'd already made the payment.
There's a real need for clarity for what Norma's talking about.
Okay,
And
so
I thought Walter